my guests are seated and I introduce them. Certainly out for an interesting show this morning. My guest, regular panelist, Abdul Malik Kwekuba, co-editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper. Next to him is Ernest Kofi Abuchi, past dean, Gimpa Law School. His partner, Axis Legal, and of course you know him recently as the secretary, executive secretary of the Emil Short Commission. Okay, so next to me, immediate to my left, is the rebel, Kofi Bentel, his senior vice president, Imani Africa. Okay, so rebel is not part of his name. It's only his name known to me. Right. And Randy Abe is host, Good Morning Ghana Metro Television. He's been here a couple of times, and when he left, you did ask that you want to have more of him. Good morning and welcome, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Right.
Chairman of the Disciplinary Committee of the GFS.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Just seeing what we can also do to help restore the beautiful game. Right.
I'm happy.
Okay. So, saying good morning, but is it really a good morning? 90 people, 90 lives have been lost in one day in two separate accidents in this country on Friday. And we're back to business as usual, are we not? Now, I'll take my panelists, their preliminary views, very brief comments on this matter of accidents and how the roads are just, you know, have become so much of death traps and so many accidents killing so many Ghanaians. If you look at the statistics on the causes of death in this country, in 2017, the statistics show that road accidents was accountable for up to about 9%. In 2018, that's also accounted for about 10% of the deaths. That's such a huge number. What can be done? What is being done? But how much responsibility is leadership taking? Listen to this and let me take my guest's views.
Tonight it's about leadership and integrity. But I'll start in a land not so far away from here, Egypt. Yesterday, the country's transport minister, Hisham Arafat, resigned after a deadly train crash in Cairo, killed at least 25 people and left 50 others injured. Please understand that it is not the minister who was driving the ill-fated train, but he resigned. In India, the railway minister, Nitish Kumar, resigned after two trains collided, noting that the accident was more about criminal negligence than human error. That human error was, however, not committed by the minister himself, but he resigned anyway. In June 2016, UK Prime Minister David Cameron resigned following the referendum vote to leave the European Union. He had wanted his country to remain in Europe, but his people said otherwise, and he had to go. In that same country, a member of the House of Lords quit his government post after turning up late to answer questions, saying he was thoroughly ashamed of himself. Yes, thoroughly ashamed for simply arriving late in Parliament to answer questions. Now, at this time when scandals worth billions of shillings decorate the pages of our newspapers every morning, one would have expected a flurry of resignations, not because of any wrongdoing, but simply to take responsibility. Because when this looting happens, there's always a place where the buck stops. But we're in Kenya, and you'll clearly recall, for instance, the words of former Finance Minister and current Member of Parliament, Amos Kimunya, "I'd rather die than resign." He was under siege in Parliament over alleged improprieties in the sale of what is now Lyco Regency. He went and addressed a gathering of his supporters and made the now famous vow. In 2006, on being questioned over the Anglo-leasing scam, the then Vice President Mudi Awori said, "I will not resign. Who is my accuser and on what charge?" Article 73 of the Constitution describes in great detail the kind of leadership Kenyans need and deserve. It does not expressly ask anyone to resign, but the words there speak for themselves. Words like personal integrity, competence, objectivity, and impartiality. The oath of office taken by holders of public office is a promise before God and the people to uphold the sovereignty, integrity, and dignity of the people of Kenya, as well to do justice to all in accordance to the Constitution. While taking the oath, the leaders also promised to truly and diligently serve the people, and end with the famous 4 words, "So help me God." But today, it is perhaps the citizens who need God's help the most. The blatant looting is unprecedented. The audacity with which public resources are being pilfered is mind-boggling. And yet, there are men and women put in place by the people and the law to watch over public coffers. The Constitution presupposes that when we go for elections every 5 years, we would look for Kenyans who fit this bill. But I'm not holding my breath. When the time comes for another election, we shall once again leave the comfort of our beds at 3 a.m. to queue and elect the very same leaders. Leaders who would rather die than resign. Are we not tired? Are we not angry enough? Or are we just stupefied or dazed?
You're welcome back. So, police have confirmed 55 died in the Gore head-on collision between 2 passenger buses on the Kintampo-Techiman Road. 53 others are seriously injured. We have been told about a number of things that have gone on. And Kofi, this is a stretch of the country's highway that we are so familiar with, is known for these accidents. What do you have to say?
It's distressing and it's sad because Ghana has been known to be one of the world leaders when it comes to road accidents and fatalities. And somehow it's not a major problem for us. In fact, it doesn't feature in our election campaigning issues and doesn't feature in any major serious efforts or thinking or, program. The last time we had a major government plan or something about road safety, it had to do with tow trucks and things like that. We've passed Act 21, 2180 or so, but nobody really cares about making sure it's working. It's interesting, the clip you showed, because the first note I wrote about this was that we do have a very serious problem and it's complex. Roads, I maintain that the nature of the design of our roads, and somebody says something which is true. He says a lot of our roads were not actually designed. They were converted from footpaths and cocoa roads paths. They were not really designed. And traders' routes, okay? And we haven't gotten back to really doing that work. And it puts vehicles in conflict with each other. So we have a problem there. Then we have our drivers and the issues there. There was a huge issue about whether drivers should be educated or not. At the point there was that debate, and some of us were wondering whether it's true because you're going to alienate so many people, and it's a major job creator for a certain section of our society. It's a big issue. Road signs, and there are jokes about road signs in this country. So it's multifaceted, and then the police and all the issues. Okay, but I said, look, maybe we can start with...
In 2010, there were 19 fatalities per 10,000 vehicles in Ghana. The statistics showed that 43% of the fatalities involved pedestrians and 53% involved occupants of vehicles. And then 23% of all pedestrian fatalities involved children below the age of 16. The major cause of road accidents in Ghana is due to excessive speeding. It accounts for 60% of the car crashes.
These are serious statistics, but again, the question is, it doesn't feature in major situations. Look, we just had the situation with the Adenta roads. People were dying. It took Salom to and others to mobilize, and footbridges. I made this point on this topic that anytime we have this problem, we should track the failure chain and make examples of people. Okay, I said this because it's a big issue. We should start having a solution to it. But in the meantime, when these buses crashed, okay, and people were commenting on what happened, they said speeding, okay, track the failure chain. I have heard all kinds of talk about managing speed, governance, speed limits on trucks. Some people said there was a fire and people couldn't escape because there was only one door on the bus, which I can't believe, but I don't think it's true. But if it's true, track the failure chain. Who licensed that vehicle for long distance travel? Then some people said, I think it was on Ivan's program, that there is a second door, but they pack luggage there, so you can't escape. And I said, track the failure chain. What I mean is that, look, it is possible for you to say, leaving A to B, who were the policemen on the road? It is possible. I traveled somewhere else, and the bus driver was quite irritating, but I've never forgotten it, because every 3 hours he stops and will rest for 30 minutes. And we're irritated because we're going on a long journey, wanted to come back outside this country. And he said, no, that's the rule, and he will be severely punished if he doesn't do that. Why? Because they've picked his start time. And if it is 3 hours to Cape Coast, you can't get there earlier. If you get there earlier, it means you're overspeeding. They will punish you. And they said every 3 hours, you have to rest. Okay? And if you don't rest, they have systems to catch you. He wasn't doing it because he wanted to do it. And all of us were on his case. But he said, it has to be done. So I'm saying it is possible for us to track the failure chain. Were there policemen on the road? Did they allow this to go? Who licensed the vehicle? The driver? Let's just investigate this. There are places where every accident is investigated and they write a story about everything, start to beginning, start to end. So my point is, these things, when you put them together, are serious. 60 people dead is cause for national mourning. Okay? But my fear is that it will blow away. My biggest fear traveling in Ghana is not that I will be reckless, but that some other driver will be reckless and cause an accident on me. So I pray that somebody will take this seriously and make it a big issue for real treatment as a national issue.
Right. Now, Randy, certainly our focus a lot will be on the Techiman-Kintampo Road, but that which also happened in the Ekonfi area, is it? Yeah. That area in the also, you know, took quite a bit of the Ekonfi tragedy. It says that 30 people are feared dead in that incident, which happened on the Winneba Cape Coast Highway in the Ekonfi district of the Central Region. We are told that Ghana loses over $230 million yearly due to road accidents. The loss correlates to 1.7% of the country's GDP.
You know, these are statistics that have been known to us and those in authority for a long time. And the big question is, what have we done about it? And I'll tell you something. In reading around some of these issues in preparing for this program, I found something interesting I'll share with you. Look, just last year, 2018, remember there were 3 separate accidents in the northern region on a Saturday and a Sunday, which led to the loss of 29 lives. I think this was around the 15th or 16th of April, you know. And at that time, from the 1st of January to the 31st of March, last year alone, 2018, we had as many as 592 people dying. 592 from January 1 to March 31, 2018. That's how many people we had lost through road accidents. And we had over 3,300 injured. So I found out this, very interesting. And I remember we've had to deal with it on this program. One of the few times that I've been here. And it says, and it's just to tell you how we're a nation of talkatives. Now, this is general news of Tuesday, 17th April 2018. Akufo-Addo approves plan to deal with road accidents. You remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, It says that President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo has approved an action plan to deal with road accidents in the country. Following the upsurge in road accidents, he set up a 3-man committee comprising the Minister of Interior, Transport and Roads to develop a plan to curb the menace. Nana Akufo-Addo, after receiving and reviewing the committee's report, has granted executive approval for its immediate implementation. According to a statement from the Ministry of Information contained in the report, are 3 key areas of action. These are: 1, education. Now, this is what they said they would do, or our government said it would do. Resource the National Road Safety Commission to scale up public education and sensitization on road safety with an additional 6.5 million Ghana cedis from the road fund. And the question is, has this been done? 2, enforcement. Enforcement of road traffic laws by the police through spot fines by automation of MTTD operations. Has this been done? This is April 2018. B, partner with private towing companies and Nationwide Traffic Management and Enforcement Limited to vigorously enforce the regulation. Has this been done? There's a year on. 3, engineering. Resource the Ghana Highway Authority, Department of Urban Roads and Department of Feeder Roads with at least 335 million Ghana cedis a year to provide signage and road markings for the roads over a 3-year period. Has this been done? At a meeting held on Monday, 16th April 2018, the committee tasked the Ghana Police Service, Road Safety Commission, and other road sector agencies to immediately commence the enforcement of the action plan as approved by the President. So this is an action plan approved by the President, announced on the 16th of April 2018. We're here a year on, and we're discussing 90 people dying on a weekend. We love to talk.
So, like Randy read, this team was tasked to immediately, and those were the words, get into action. The reference to the police spot fines. I don't know if anybody remembers when the new regulations were passed. Since then, the police has continuously, repeatedly reminded us that they were going to deal with spot fines to check the situation. The last time I heard the police, sometime this week, they were still talking about looking for partners to be able to roll out the spot fine regime, though it has been made, it has been legislated. So Randy is right, is he not? We're just talking.
Well, to a large extent, yes. But I think we need to find out what is the exact status of this presidential initiative. As he said, the report was presented.
Yes.
Did I get that impression?
And this was announced as an action plan to commence immediately.
Yes, so we need to get the details from those who are in charge of that initiative. National Road Safety Commission, the Ministry of Transport, and all the rest. At least it's a legitimate inquiry Randy is raised, but we need to be told what is it that has been done so far since the report was received. Has it been operationalized? Has there been any effect? Because see, I do not expect an automatic remedy, immediate remedy to some of the challenges that we are confronted with. Even if a committee was set up and a report has been presented and they have given us some prescriptions and things, I still do not think that we are going to have an accident-free situation. But it's a good initiative, so we must be told what is the status as we speak now. I have to be honest, I haven't bothered to follow this very interesting revelation Randy has put out there, but we need to be told, and I'm sure the authorities are listening to us. If they could make an input now, it helps to enrich the discussion.
But at least the president told us something, I think just yesterday.
I missed that.
And this report, he was at an event with the police.
I see, I missed it.
President Nana Akufo-Addo has charged the Ghana Police Service to fast-track the implementation of the report put together by the Inter-Ministerial Committee tasked to investigate the cause of road accidents following the deadly crash which claimed the life of Ghanaian dancehall artist Ebony Rains, known in private life as Priscilla Opoku Kwarteng, in 2018. 2018. President Akufo-Addo has charged the Ghana Police Service to fast-track that implementation. He says that Mr. Akufo-Addo revealed that the report was ready and had input from the Police Council, adding that he expects immediate action to curb road accidents. The Inter-Ministerial Committee included the Minister for the Interior, the Minister for Roads and Highways, and the Minister of Transport. He was speaking at the end-of-year get-together of the West African Security Service Association, WASA, of the Ghana Police Service on Friday, the 22nd of March, 2019. Mr. Akufo-Addo said, quote, "As the police is the institution charged with the regulation of traffic on our roads, it is my hope that the recommendations will be speedily acted upon and adored as soon as possible."
Well, refreshing, assuring, reassuring, but insufficient in the case of the inquiry I was making. Maybe that report itself should have been published earlier, much earlier, so that we all know what the details are. And sometimes when there's that much transparency, it triggers stakeholder engagement, not just those who are charged to dealing with those issues, but even people like us, everybody, the media, everybody gets involved. We are able to monitor and evaluate the implementation of that report. As I sit here right now, I have no idea what is in the report and what is it that is supposed to be fast-tracked. Are we being told that perhaps it's now that we are going to start implementation of the report? Or
that's the impression I get, because
from
the
what
president is saying this on the 22nd of December, 2018, when this was done on the 16th of April, in 2018.
If the president is saying this yesterday,
apparently.
Yes. If the president is saying this yesterday, what it means is that from April 16th till yesterday, we have really not made any serious move.
That's apparent. For all you know, some levels of implementation had begun. I'm still asking that question because it's possible. When you read on the surface, Randy is right in terms of interpretation, but it could be superficial. So we need to be told what is the status of implementation relative to the report that was submitted some time ago.
But is it not telling that the president finds it an occasion, an opportunity to remind the police and actually charge them to implement it immediately?
No.
And this is what was done in 2018 and here in 2019 because of an accident or two accidents claiming upwards of 90 lives. He's not telling the police, implement it now.
It's reassuring, but insufficient. There are still answers that we need to some questions. If the authorities, if those who are in charge of the process could make an input, perhaps we would realize that maybe implementation at a certain level has started. What are the constraints and things? I'm not speaking.
Would the president then have said, implement it immediately?
No, but that's the point I am making. That is the political language the president has used an occasion to make. Meanwhile, it is possible that some aspects of the report have been implemented.
And he is unaware, so he has to tell them to do it.
Of course, it's possible. The president doesn't do micromanagement of those things on a daily basis. He doesn't. He would expect his Minister of Transport, Interior, and the police to be doing it. Now, if indeed, and I know what I'm talking about because there have been instances where presidents have made statements of that nature. And when you dig deep, you see that some elements of implementation had begun. Not sufficient to cure the mischief. But as I'm saying, see, no matter what report is contained in that report and its fast-track implementation, we are not going to see an accident-free situation. It's not possible. Being realistic. Especially when some of those causes are human-related.
Right.
Due to indiscipline on the part of the drivers. Let's be honest.
There's an eyewitness who spoke to Joy and was telling a story of one of the drivers being asleep.
Well, you had to check. The police ought to investigate. But eyewitness, she's alive, you mean?
Yes, she is.
Okay, that will help. But you see, the point really is that apart from maybe bad roads, apart from maybe poor electrification or street lights not working, and training, the people who deliver licenses and things to drivers not doing that, all these are true, real challenges.
Right.
But there are also situations where there's absolute indiscipline out there, the impatience. And I'm told the statistics shows that human error, it's a greater.
60%.
Can we believe that? Now, no report, no law enforcement, no restructuring, engineering, re-engineering of our roads can totally take care of the human factor if we ourselves will not exercise a certain level of discipline, self-discipline, and self-restraint. It's sad. People have died. The numbers are frightening because they've happened within a short period of time. They are frightening. But the truth of the matter is that it's about time maybe we take another look at the people we entrust our lives to on long journeys and things. You know, to be honest, there's too much discipline on our routes. Yeah.
Right. Zaboji, so when this news comes, it's becoming as if it is normal for Ghanaians, and the media receives it and just passes on the information. 57 people dead as a result of a car crash, and another incident. 30 dead as a result of car crash. End of story.
Well, I think the reason that is partly because road accidents have been seen or have been treated as accidents. Technically, they are not accidents. A lot of them are accidents. Technically, a lot of them are negligence. An accident is something you can do anything about. But technically, these are not accidents. But of course, there's no better description of it, so we just call them accidents. So the assumption is if it happens, it has to happen anyway. But as my colleagues have also expressed various opinions on this subject here today, a lot of these are preventable. I do think that we should distinguish two things. First of all, there are rules and regulations that govern a number of the human aspects that actually lead to these accidents. So do we have a regulatory framework in place at the moment? There are, or there is. Are they adequate? Maybe they can be bettered. I think, however, that what led to the establishment of the Ebony Commission, or committee, if it can be described as such, has to do with the fact that there was a recognition that there was a major trend of road accidents claiming too many lives, and I think the statistics have been put out there.
Yeah.
So what I think is fundamentally omitted is that there's an absence or a lack of a coordinated or coherent policy framework on road safety. That would reflect a number of things. For example, what are the specific trainings that we give people who drive cars, private saloon cars, and distinguished or distinguishable from commercial cars or commercial vehicles, buses, etc. As I think Mr. Benson said earlier, if you have people driving these commercial vehicles and therefore, let's say in a given day, a particular driver may want to do Accra Kumasi 4 times before the day is over. When I do Accra Kumasi once, I feel broken. And I wonder how some of them do it 2, 3, 4 times. If you're going to have a driver do this and do it routinely, you are calling for an accident. So what kind of training do we give these people? What kind of responsibilities are incumbent on owners of these cars?
Are you suggesting we could be looking at tweaking our law to insist that you don't do more than 3 times Accra Kumasi stretch, for example?
These are just examples. If you want to go into the detail, then there'll be too many of them. But these are just examples that if you have someone doing Accra Kumasi, let's say more than 2 times, if it has to be anything more than 2 times, I think that's too much. And I think some of the drivers probably do 3, 4, or more times. Now, the reality of human incapacity is that what kind of responsibilities are incumbent on the owners of these vehicles? And in the event of accident, what kind of responsibility and liability do they bear? If we take the question of alcohols being sold at lorry stations, for example. I know there was a time there was an attempt to eradicate these, but my information is that we still have it ongoing. And some of these drivers take care of business.
Beyond alcohol, really,
well,
we are told.
A lot more are this.
Tramadol.
All kinds of things. And so a lot of these drivers take care of business before they actually set off every day when they're on the road. Overspeeding, we've been told. But I have seen instances where people have oversped past, if you like, police posts. The police people who are supposed to be there checking overspeeding, the cars they're driving, how fast are they? Because when you have to follow up on a driver who's overspeeding, who's refused to stop, you have to have a machine that drives faster than his car. And so the logic is also clear. And I've seen cars, and overload is the major problem. And that one, I think the police have simply become if you like, adamant to it. There's a sense in which some cars are perennially allowed to overload. And I think there's an acceptance that it's okay for them to overload. And if you've been on the Kumasi Road sometimes, you see cars tilted to a point of gravitational risk, i.e. they are likely to just, tip over. And they will drive right through police barriers. Some of them have no number plates. Some of them have no tail lights. And then you see cars broken down right in the middle of the road. In fact, the Kumasi Road, and I'm sure many other places, but I'm familiar with the Kumasi Road. But the Kumasi Road in particular has been a very risky road to travel on for a variety of reasons. I don't remember the details of Ebony's death, but I think it has to do with something similar. But I think a car broken down or something like that. Yeah. But we have all these. So it's a combination of factors that I think that a committee like that is likely to look at the broad policy framework, the questions of training, the questions of capacity of enforcement, the questions of intermediations, among other factors, all put together, dealing with the broad policy framework. But in terms of the specific, the legislations are there. We simply are not enforcing them.
Okay. So we're actually supposed to terminate this by this point, but I understand how you feel about it. So let's explore it a little more, despite my production intimating me that this is where we should end it. Now, he speaks about even enforcement of law. We're talking about a Metro mass bus that was involved here with another U-turn bus. So the Metro mass buses, the state has law that says if you do not wear your seat belts, you are committing an offense. You'll be punished. The Metro mass buses, do they have belts, seat belts? They don't. Okay. Now,
you mean for the drivers?
For the drivers.
They don't?
That's for the drivers. They should not be for the drivers.
You mean they have for the drivers?
For the passengers, they should. For the passengers, they should.
The bus?
Now, they should.
They should.
Now, that will reduce how the carnage happens. Now, in 2014, and we're talking the statistics, only reported cases. 2014, as many as 1,856 killed. 2015, 1,634 killed. 2016, 2,198. 2017, 2,076. 2018, 2,341. So, you see, there is an increase. Every year, there appears to be an increase. So, we are talking about 10,105 commuters killed between 2014 and 2018. And these are only the reported figures that the Road Safety Commission has.
And these are deaths. This does not even take into account a lot of people's lives are changed as a result of injuries.
Right. Yeah. So when you said something about the Metro Mass, somebody told me something which is quite interesting but quite important. Apparently, the Metro Mass and the government vehicles are almost unchecked.
And they are not insured.
Yeah.
The police is not interested.
They are not interested in them because I don't know, but I think it's because they don't get money from them or Abai or something. And I think if you look at some of these accidents, it's they. Okay? And then they are not insured and all the things that go. We are not saying they are worse than anybody, but clearly we should take a look at that. Then I think there's a general trend here. One, there is almost no consequence for those whose negligence or complicity caused these thousands of deaths.
Sometimes some of them die in the process too.
Well, yes, but I'm talking about consequence in terms of accountability. So, you know the clip that was played, 25 people die and the Minister of Transport resigns. Ultimate responsibility. Okay. Now, I think one of the things we should do is ask, who could have stopped this? There is a law against what is called insecure load. Why? Because when you have roofing sheets on a vehicle and you don't tighten them, they can decapitate somebody.
Right.
When you have, I've seen wood go through somebody's windscreen. When you describe the situation where cars are so loaded, they are tilted, the center of gravity is at a very precarious point. They can fall on people and that kind of thing. And there's a law against insecure load. If it passes by a police checkpoint and something happens, the person to be held responsible should be the policeman.
And the loading situation you talk about is very regular on that stretch.
On that stretch.
from Kumasi to Techiman to Tamale and to the Upper East and West.
The next point I want to make, and that goes to the human error thing. Structure shapes behavior. What I mean is that, you see, the bus driver I talked to you about, there's a structure. Even if he wants to speed, he can't because there's consequence for it.
Okay.
If we have these arrangements where the police, for instance, cannot collect money, you have a similar situation with the government buses where they won't get any money, so basically they maybe do their job. If you have a situation where if you know that insecure load passes you and something happens, you'll be called upon to answer for it. Or in the extreme situation, if the Minister of Transport knows that any accident which clearly shows that a president's orders have not been carried out, therefore leading to that accident, he will have something to answer. If we have structure, and I'm talking about law enforcement here, okay, I think we will tamper down a bit on that human aspect. We have to keep talking about this because you are reading thousands, and these are people's wives, husbands, brothers, sisters. You know, Ebony died and the whole nation was, you know, mourning her, but thousands of people die. So two things. I think we must start going towards accountability. If these things happen, means some people didn't do their work along the line. And then let's put more and more structure, enforcement, checking this drinking at the... How difficult is it to eliminate drinking at lorry stations or check it on the street?
Okay.
More enforcement.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, Kweku,
See,
1 minute.
I got this text from a police friend of mine. I don't have permission to mention his
All
name.
right.
But he makes the point that the focus now should not be on the causes of accidents, but the avoidable fatalities. If the highways were dualized, we could have more accidents with less fatalities because head-on collisions would be eliminated.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So thank you very much. He sent that to me too, and then another person who is also involved in this industry, a stakeholder, tells me that it is now gone beyond drunk driving. It is not about people getting drunk and driving. It's gone beyond drunk driving. As some drivers have resorted to inhaling fuel from the vehicle tanks to gain more energy in order to drive for long hours. Really?
What are you saying?
Really?
See,
Wow.
you see, with all these things that are coming up, you see, all these things that are coming up, the things that Kofi spoke about, the things that everybody else is speaking about, these are not things that do not happen in other jurisdictions.
Okay.
They do happen there. And that brings me to the point where I am convinced beyond reasonable doubt that whilst those nations that we look up to and we make references to see law as enforcement, in this country we see law as enactment. And that's the difference between us and them. I mean, Kofi talks about a plethora of laws that we have and the problem being enforcement. Why aren't we enforcing those laws? If you see those vehicles that are gravitating and all that, there are sufficient laws to do that. And the reason why we had this interministerial committee was that they also recognized that the issues were multifaceted. So there were issues that had to do with agencies under the Ministry of Transport. There were issues that had to do with agencies under the Ministry of Interior. There were issues that had to do with agencies under the Ministry of Roads. And that's why those three ministries were put together. And that particular master plan and an action plan. And it was supposed to be for 3 years. You understand what I'm saying? And they gave us specifics on education, on the roads, dualizing them, putting signages and all that. Those were supposed to have been done. And it was an action plan, underlying action. So if a year on, we still cannot come to terms with the implementation of this, and we're back to the discussion table because we've had another 90 die, it speaks to our commitment to dealing with these issues.
Okay.
And the fact that we believe in just talking. For us, it's all about enactment. Let us go and enact a law and be happy about it.
All right. Very, very interesting.
To a large extent, yes.
Yeah.
But we might still check the current status of implementation.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you heard the Speaker of Parliament, was it on Thursday, he was complaining about lateness to Parliament and the fact that a good number of the MPs don't even come to the House. At the start of business, at around what time, is it 10-ish, there were only 15 members of Parliament, and he was complaining. He's been complaining forever all his predecessors have been complaining. But check their own standing orders. They are able to punish the MPs for that conduct. They should tell us when they punished anybody for this kind of conduct, including MPs losing their seats for absenting themselves for 15 times within a sitting. Odikro has produced the results. There's a good number of them that have done twice. They are as guilty, more guilty, sinned twice what the law requires. They are still sitting there, and every month they will take your 20,000 Ghana cedis minus the allowances they will get, all the perks they get. They are the only people who, before they start work, they get rent allowance to rent in a place of their choice. They are the only ones that before they start work, even before they are giving the job to start, they get loans to buy cars, four-wheel drives of their choice. So we keep complaining. What should happen? Francis in East Legon says a figure of 10,000 deaths between 2014 and 2018 is criminally staggering. It is as if these deaths occurred in a war zone, not through road rage. It's simply scandalous. We must all wake up. We don't need more laws. Just enforce the laws now. We'll be right back to Chereponi. I doubt it is a war zone, and the deaths there over the period are up to 2,000. We'll be right back.